Assalamualaikum, good day. I bid to Dr. Murad. I am Nur Izlin Batrisha, and today I will be presenting my research on the impact of rural-urban migration on local consumer spending power, focusing on the district of Kuala Pilah in Negeri Sembilan. This study explores how the migration of youth to urban area affects local businesses and the long-term sustainability of rural retail economies. Rural-urban migration is a major demographic trend in developing countries. In Malaysia, many young people leave small districts like Kuala Pilah to work in urban centres such as Kuala Lumpur and the Malaysian Vision Valley, which is what we call as a MVV. While migration improves individual opportunities, it also removes the most active group of consumers from rural towns. As a result, places like Kuala Pilah are experiencing a slowdown in daily business activity. So as we can see from the slide here, the rural-urban migration is transforming the structure, and then the youth is between around 20 to 39 years old. Leave Kuala Pilah for a better job, for better opportunities, education, and lifestyle. As for the background of the study, Kuala Pilah is traditional rural district located near fast-growing urban corridors like Seremban and MVV. Previously, local shops depended on consistent daily spending from the residents. However, with many youths migrating out, the economy is shifting from a stable daily market to one that relies heavily on festive seasons such as Hari Raya, which create instability for the local business. So, as we can see here, Kuala Pilah is basically a secondary rural district in Negeri Sembilan, located near major growth corridors like Seremban and MVV, while local SME depend heavily on the consistent residents' purchase power and then recent shift from a stable daily sales to festive day. As for the research problem, according to Xu et al., the main problem is economic leakage. Even though former residents may send money home, their daily spending happens in the cities, not in Kuala Pilah. This reduces regular customer traffic for local shops. Business only survive during the festive seasons, while weekday sales remain weak and usual. So over time, this may cause the shop closure, creating what researchers call as a retail graveyard effect. The aim of the study is to evaluate how youth migration influences local spending power in Kuala Pilah. Specifically, the study asks two questions. So as we can see, the research question here is, how does the permanent out-migration of youth population contribute to economic leakage in the Kuala Pilah district? And then the next RQ is, to what extent does the reliance on festive season economy impact in the long-term financial sustainability of local retailers? So we have the research objective here, which is to identify the permanent out-migration of the youth population contribute to economic leakage in the Kuala Pilah district, and then to analyze the reliance on the festive seasonal economic impact in the long-term financial sustainability of local retailers. We move on for the literature review. Previous study shows that youth out-migration creates what researchers call as a consumption void. When young adults leave rural areas, demand for higher value and discretionary goods declines, making the rural retail markets less dynamic and more dependent on basic needs spending. At the same time, income earned by migrants is often spent in urban areas instead of their hometowns. This leads to economic leakage, where money flows out rather than circulating locally. As a result, the local multiplier effect weakens, meaning each ringgit generates less economic activity within the rural district. The backwash effect further explains this issue. Growth in nearby urban centres such as Seremban and MVV tends to pull spending, investment and opportunities away from surrounding rural towns like Kuala Pilah instead of benefiting them. Researchers also warn about the risk of relying on festive seasonal demand. While festive seasonal may bring temporary revenue increase, they create unstable peak and trough income patterns that make it difficult for SMEs to maintain consistent cash flow and local and long-term financial planning. Finally, the literature highlights a digital innovation gap with fewer young and tech-savvy consumer remaining. Rural SME have less motivation to adopt the e-commerce, digital marketing, and cashless payment system, which further reduces their competitiveness compared to the urban business. So for the research gap, the existing studies emphasize national remittance over local business survival. Daily transactional instability of SMEs is underexplored. Festive economy often misinterpreted as economic strain, and then limited empirical focus on Malaysian secondary towns in Kuala, Pilah. While many studies discuss migration and remittance at the national level, very few focus on how small rural shop owners survive day to day. Seasonal demand is often viewed as a benefit, but this study argues it creates financial risk. Also, secondary towns like Kuala Pilah are under research compared to major rural regions. The conceptual framework proposed that youth migration and urban attraction change local spending behavior. This reduces the speed at which money circulates locally, known as transactional velocity. When this low, SMEs become less resilient. So as we can see here, the independent variable for this study is the youth migration intensity, which I just make it short as a demographic shift, urban gravitational pull, the specially gauge, consumer expenditure composition, which is the spending behavior, festive revenue variance, which is the seasonal volatility, digital infrastructure barrier, the innovation gap. And then the mediator is the transactional velocity, representing the local multiplier effect, and the dependent variable is the operational resilience of rural SME. As for the study, 4 hypotheses were developed linking migration, festive dependence, innovation stagnation, and urban proximity to SME survival. So the first hypothesis is the youth migration significantly increased the economic leakage. The second hypothesis is the heavy festive reliance weakens long-term SME sustainability, reduce local multiplier effect, slows innovation and modernization. And then the fourth hypothesis is the proximity to urban hubs accelerate the rural retail decline. The data was collected using structured questionnaire with 5-point Likert scale. It covered 8 sections from youth migration impact to SME resilience. Most surveys were conducted face-to-face because many rural business owners are not comfortable with the digital forms. Majority of the survey approach help overcome digital literacy barriers among the business owners. The data was analyzed using statistical techniques. Descriptive statistics summarized trends, while reliability tests ensured measurement consistency. Regression analysis was used to examine how migration-related variables influence SME operational resilience. So, as the finding for this study, the findings shows a clear reduction in young customer and strong competition from urban shopping areas. Spending has shifted towards basic needs, and many shops rely heavily on festive income. Digital adoption remains low, and the circulation of money within Kuala Pilah has slowed, reducing the SME resilience. That's the finding for this study. As for the contribution and the conclusion, so we have almost at the end of this presentation. This study contributes theoretically by showing that migration affect not just population number but also the local multiplier effect. Practically, it provides insights for policymakers to design strategies that support the rural retailers, improve digital adoption, and encourage the youth engagement in local economies. Therefore, in conclusion, youth migration is not just a demographic issue but an economic one. Spending a leakage reduces daily business activity, and festive peaks cannot replace the stable local demand. To ensure SME survival, strategies must focus on strengthening the local spending circulation and revitalizing rural commercial ecosystems. That's all from me. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.